Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me? Alright, cool. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll wait, I don't know, like a minute or so and let the people that are interested in viewing this come on in, and then we'll start. I'll leave risk one of two up, and then we'll switch to the other side and then get to our trade and stuff. So I'll be right back. Alright, and the second disclaimer I have to show. Alright, so the last time I had tried doing this, my Bluetooth mic that had worked before I had left for the day decided not to work. And I tried to kind of keep it going with like the YouTube chat and do charging at the same time, but it wasn't what I had kind of anticipated or thought of in my mind. So it just didn't work out. So we'll try it again tonight. And although it is a Thursday night and the moves might be muted, I still think that Brexit um, is still going to kind of keep people on their toes. So there still might be plenty of action tonight, but I'm not going into this thinking it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday expecting, large swings. Uh, I'm kind of winging this, but I don't know how long you guys have tonight. Um, I have basically until 3:30 in the morning to sit up here and trade, but my kind of style of this, what I thought anyway, was to just kind of chill out, hang out. You guys can kind of see my screen as far as what I do for the London Open trading session. I know like posting charts and writing little tweets on Twitter only goes so far. So, um, and then of course, you know, you guys can ask questions or whatever throughout in the YouTube chat. So feel free to use that. Um, yeah. So Dave says, I'm in Houston. How do I stay up for the London session? That's a good question, actually. I'm in the Central Time Zone as well, and it does get a little tough. I'm thankful I'm not on the East Coast, though. It'd be even worse. How do I stay up? I kind of just picture making a lot of money. So that's kind of my motivation, It's the London session historically, has posted typically the higher low of the day, or at least, a considerable swing. until it possibly goes into a reversal, at London close or New York Open. But so I like the London Open, especially the Judas swings, you know. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna start going through my charts. Normally I do start looking at charts the way or at the time that ICT teaches, and that is midnight Eastern. So I'm 30 minutes behind. It's not a big deal. I typically don't trade US CAD, uh, and I'm going to say this before we get going. I want this to be very clear because I don't want to stir up any drama by any means, but this isn't this live session. My intention with it is not to give like ICT a run for his money or anything like that. Um, it's just I don't know. It's nice to kind of chat with people and whatever, but and some of the stuff that I do show um, on my charts. I'm going to keep this stream private, and only people with the link can get it. So it's not like I'm broadcasting out to the world like he didn't want people to do. So, with that said, also I should add that yes, I am using a demo account, and in the risk disclaimer, trading forex is risky. There is risk involved, and during this live session, I'm trading on a demo account, and I do not advise you guys trade on live accounts. Jack, you're right. So there are some stops building up beneath here, and um, you know, as much as I do like trading the cable right now, it is kind of a toss-up. And if you just forget about Brexit, totally, it just makes at least my mind a lot more clear. And if you just stick to the fundamentals of liquidity, where's liquidity, and where has it just recently moved from? Just remembering those two pieces alone have stepped up my game exponentially. I can't even tell you guys how much it's helped me. But what I focus on are levels of liquidity on the higher time frames, weekly or monthly, weekly, daily, and 4 hours. Sometimes the hourly, but I stick to the higher time frames. Those are where I get my cream of the crop uh, trade setups. And the nice thing about swing trading is, well, one, it develops your patience. When I first started trading Bitcoin, and admittedly, I didn't know what I was doing. And looking back at it, it's actually kind of funny. But you know, not being a patient person, then getting scared by something moving against me 20 pips. Oh, I better get out. And then seeing that it just reversed after I got out. And swing trading forces me to become patient. And there's when you swing trade, you're nailing down uh, the possibilities or the unknowns, right? So it's like, all right, well, it made a higher high. Theoretically, it made a higher high, so it should make, you know, a higher low. And at that higher low, what are you looking for to buy at? An order block. All right, so you mark out the order block, and then you go into like a 4 hour, and you kind of mark out maybe like a little swing point or 50% of that order block, and just mark that area out, and trade the time of day when that currency is active. Like, you don't want to be trading uh, like the dollar yen, at some wacko time. Or maybe a better example is like the Aussie. The prime time to trade Aussie is during the Asian session. So anyway, stops resting beneath here, and we do have an order block sitting here. So it is possible that we raid these stops and trade right into the order block, and I just mark that out. Be thorough. Whatever, that's close enough. You're right, Jack. Alright, I've seen you take trades on touch of the high time frame order blocks. Do you use lower time frame for entries like break and marker search? That's a very good question, actually. Um, you know, I'm not always in front of my charts, and what I like to do is set limit orders. You know, so uh, I could anticipate basically that we reach for these stops and we trade to half of this order block and expect a bounce there, right? So I could put a limit order in, here and here, like 1% each, and have a total of 2% on, and put your stops, accordingly, your risk appetite. But what's up with that? There we go. Okay. All right. Let's make this bigger so we know this is like, origination. One up, another down. Shit. So look at that. Two deviations down puts us right at this prior low where liquidity is. Now, we knew before that there was liquidity sitting there, but since we get two deviations down, it's, to me, that right there is kind of a, I don't know. Euro pound. I did take that trade off that I had gotten yesterday on the London Open Judas swing above this prior high, taking stops. And I did see when I looked at this before I put on the stream that we did actually take out this low. So these stops actually did get swept. Yep, got swept. So now, it did trade into this pocket of liquidity that I believe I did. I put out onto Twitter earlier. So ran stops into the pocket of liquidity. I still do believe that we do have stops here, and stops here. It's just way too clean. Get out onto this weekly chart and you'll see my premise. Traded up into this weekly order block and has since declined down. Took out these stops here, ran them several times. One thing I do have my eyes on is this. I mean, even this is kind of iffy, right? I don't know. To me, it's just kind of iffy. Yeah, see, it didn't. I mean, it barely ran it. Probably like not even half a pip. So to me, um, there still could be some stops sitting up there, and um, and we still haven't even touched, the body of that weekly candle. So it is still possible that we trade further up until I believe it's, well, the 80 big figure for sure, and the 80-10 I believe is let's see, yeah, 80-11, whatever. We just covered cable. Let's go to the euro. Um, did I listen to ICT's video today? Um, to be honest with you, no, I didn't. I haven't seen that one yet. To break it down, how banks trade breaker to breaker mitigation, yeah. Um, for me, I don't always know the direction of the market. I mean, that's just a reality that everyone goes through. But when I know the direction of the market, following breakers it's just beautiful. But when you don't, yeah, I guess you do know quick that it's not right. But I would like a little bit more certainty. So for me, breakers have always been kind of a struggling point, and I'll openly admit that. Why did you use the top of the body for the order block and not the wick? Um, I believe. Oh, no, you were talking about the daily. I'm sorry. Yeah. Why didn't I use this wick here? To me, it just doesn't have much significance, right? So the wick almost seems like it's as big or bigger than the body itself. So to me, this wick is irrelevant. So I'm just focusing on the bulk of the volume, like ICT teaches. So right here. So basically, the close of this prior candle, which comes in at. All right. The wick of that order block is institutional support, so possibly it has been taken. Are you talking, uh, Pradeep about cable? He says look at the 1 hour and connect the dots between breakers and see how they are running levels and reaching for the next level. Yeah, I'll have to write that down and do it this weekend. Alright, Euro. Man, it always bugs out like that. Alright. Another thing that I do need to work on is the 30-minute filter. I forget his parameters about, when it runs it, after the open, then it's XYZ. I really need to work on that. I'll be honest with you guys, though. For me, when I try to incorporate too much into everything, it just kind of complicates things. So I like to keep it simple. 30 pip run after New York midnight, you know, prior run on stops or run into an order block at London Open. That's your bread and butter. It's a teaser from Market Maker 12. Of course he would do that. Do I have experience with prop firms? Unfortunately, I do not. And to be honest with you guys, that's kind of why I started the Twitter account in the first place. Was my original thinking was, all right, well, I thought I was a decent forex trader, and I wanted to experience bigger and better things, and I knew I was good at something, and if I kept, you know, practicing it, putting time into it, that I would grow, right? So my hope was, and still is rather, that I can land a job, by someone seeing my trades, the duration that I keep them on, the losers, the winners, stuff like that. And I'm hoping that it kind of lands me a job or something. But do I look at COT data every week to kind of get directional bias? I do. However, it's easy to get caught up in taking this commitment to traders data too literal because, for instance, if you look at gold, I mean, the market makers have been short for months, even before the run up to 1300, if I remember correctly. So, if you take it too literal, you'll see them get net short and establish a very large position historically, and you'll start to get into the mindset of shorting too. But what people forget is when the market makers are establishing short positions, what does the market have to do? The market has to go up because they can't sell in a down move. So that's something that you guys really got to keep in mind. And if you haven't seen so yet, I believe I tweeted it out. Cable, the recent COT data release. I mean, did you guys see how many long positions they've established on the whole Brexit fear? Like, this whole runoff here, they were buying, 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 and it shows in the CT data. I still think that there are some stops sitting beneath here, and that this order block here could still be valid. If not, we take out those lows, and from where we go from there, I honestly don't know. I didn't think it would even bounce back here, to be quite honest. Around the euro, that's right. Have people from institutions contacted me? No. I have some buddies that I've known for years. You know, I talk to them and I tweet, and that's it. I don't have any outside contact with prop firms or institutions at all. Improbable for an investor, yeah. Honestly, Bishop, my hope was that like someone that worked at a bank in like a trading sector of some sort would see it and you know at least give me an interview. I mean that alone would be great. But nonetheless, you guys, if you've downloaded ICT's calculator, you know what even 5% compounded interest on your account does each month. So now check this out. Interestingly enough, on the euro, two deviations up, clear out these stops here, right? And if you remember, is it this? Yeah, two deviations down takes out those stops. So right there, without even really looking at euro pound, you know, euro could rally, take out stops. Cable could fall, take out stops. Two deviations down. And so we'll kind of monitor that. Let's go to euro pound. We need to focus on that. Let's get a new chart going. How long have I been trading for? I've been trading FX for, I believe, around 2 years now. And I've been, I guess you could call it trading, but before it was more or less just gambling and kind of guessing more or less with Bitcoin. And, you know, if you guys are familiar with Bitcoin, there's like altcoins, and altcoins are kind of like, I guess you could call them penny stocks. So that's where I kind of started. And there I focused on trend lines and RSI. I never got into the MACD, but it was primarily trend lines and you know I guess crowd mentality. And we used Twitter back then too. And what the crowd was doing, you just kind of followed everyone else. Because why be that guy that goes against the herd, right? So all right, so euro pound. Let's mark out. Now, since this is a pretty wiki flout session here, I might take it out to the hourly and really get, the actual, yeah, see. Let's just forget about that and just use this. I wish I could play some music in the background here, guys, but I believe if I do that, YouTube's gonna like smack down the video and say I can't put it out or anything. So, or even ban my account. So, I'm gonna keep it safe. Yeah, naked charts. Honestly, man, that's even from when I was little. I remember I always wanted to be that guy. Like I would see, CNBC or whatever, and they'd be in the pits or the what is it? The NYSE talking or whatever. I always want to be one of those guys in the back with the coat on, right? So hopefully maybe I'll just, do this long enough where I can, live on this. So, all right. So we do have a 4 hour block that's sitting up here. And I guess you could argue that this price action here has been kind of inefficient. However, this 4 hour candle here did come right back up into this order block and probably about 50% of it too. I'm not going to work it out though. So that is one place that we need to keep an eye out on. Do I have that marked up? I don't. I really should. How did I find out about ICT? Um, I'd heard about them a little bit through the internet, and I was just kind of focused on doing my own thing and making my own way. So I kind of like disregarded it. And then one of my friends had, what did he do? I think he like showed a video or something. He was like, "You guys need to watch this." So I watched it, and I decided from that point on I needed to change my trading style and forget everything I knew before, or thought I knew, and go this way. So honestly, ever since then, I haven't bothered to read any ebooks. I don't listen to any other quote unquote mentors. I just do my own thing. There is this 4 hour block here. Dude, up, traded right back into it and consolidated and never went below 50% of this block. Obviously made a higher low. Um, could it be that this order block here, which is about one deviation down, could act as I don't know, some bid power? I don't know. For right now, let's just mark it out and see what happens. So one deviation up, 4 hour order block. One deviation down, 4 hour order block. So when you mark out these higher time frame sensitive price points, I mean, the London Open Judas swing, or just the London Open session in general, I mean, ugh, it's just awesome. Can I comment on your flout comment? Do you see the flout mimic or look exactly just like True Day, just mini? Uh, you know, I see the flout as a time of, I don't know, just relatively low volatility that is used to send the direction or set the direction of the next day. I don't know. Could this be right here the Judas swing of the day, out or before the London Open session? Very well could be. You never know. So you can also say that we do have a lot of inefficiency to fill in here and stops below. You can build the case both ways, really. Anyone know where I can get the ICT indicators? I forget who has them on Twitter. I'll have to get back to you on that. Do I usually start out with the dollar index? Yeah, I actually, let's just hit it up. Yeah, I tweeted this out before too. Um, Start with the weekly. You know, it traded literally right up to the body of it. And of course, been pretty weak since. Daily, there's the weekly order block noted. We got the breaker here, which is noted. Ran up into it, and then right up into the weekly body. Um, you know for a fact, you know that there's stops sitting right here. Could it run these stops here? Sure, but I see dollar as weak, so we can even it's getting really busy, and I'll delete some of this stuff here to help out. But you can even see, yeah, here, breaker. Price rallied after taking out these stops and trading into an order block, 4-hour order block. Rallied right into a breaker, this right here, and it's since been slammed down. There's plenty of stops below. So for me, dollar weakness. That's my premise. Let's look at that. Boom. Boom. Plenty of stops to take out on the downside. Naked says to go check out Midge Gaunt's or Dragonfly's indicators. You know, and I'm not saying that it was something to do on his end, but when I downloaded, it was something to do with like it would notify you if a candle becomes, more than 10 pips or whatever. I set it to 10 pips, and when I did that, it deleted all of my MT4 accounts, and that was the account that was on my FX book. So I couldn't log into the account because I just went to um, open open an account. I just did an anonymous demo account. So I didn't save the information on it. So just be wary that you have your login information in case it does delete your accounts like it did mine. Agreed. Smart money tipping its hand by a Judas swing. That's what I primarily look for. So I only trade the majors, and if I can scroll through my major charts and see a Judas swing or a chart with order blocks and liquidity below, I'll pay attention to those. And I'll actually, let's, could this be a break of structure and a retest of a breaker here? We'll see. and it is also the 30-minute filter, and that does have some significance. So we'll see. How often do you get a London Open Judas swing? Um, a real obvious one, to be honest with you, I don't even know the frequencies, but even if it's just a run to a prior order block, that's pretty profitable as well. 30-minute filter, I don't know what video he touched on, but it was like uh, 30 minutes after the New York Midnight Open is a significant time and price action for the London Open session where, and like I said when I first started this, you know, it's something I do have to look more into as to what the parameters are, but it's like if it trades below the 30-minute filter should act as resistance, something like that. I forget. I believe I have it written down somewhere. I don't know why it does that. You know, with the Euro here, we took out these stops from this prior rally. We traded right up into a 4-hour order block, off by less than 4 pips. But then again, I'm wary of trading the Euro because we do have these, these highs that just have not been tapped. Not to mention, liquidity here, relatively clean bottoms here. It might take a while for it to get there, but to me, it just seems like, there's just a lot of stops that need to be swept. Even just look at this bottom one here. I actually remember this. Oh, where did that go? Yeah. I didn't even sweep them. I remember that. So you know that liquidity is still sitting there. Just notice US CAD pulled back to 50% of the entire daily move down. Let's check that one out. Again, not a pair that I typically trade, but I'm willing to take a look at it. 50% of the entire daily move down. Let's take... So you're talking prior day. I'll take 50% of that. Why isn't this working? There we go. Entire daily move down since June 6th. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's take a look at that. You might have to link me to what you're talking about there, Jack. I'm sorry. Any recommendation for swing trading exercises, specific videos? How long do I usually hold my trades for? Do I hold over the weekend? Recently, I did, what is it, last week? But normally I don't, no. Normally I close out by 11 or noon central on Fridays. Typically, normally I don't even try to trade Fridays. I like it to be like a bonus day. But Recommendations for swing trading exercises. Um, First and foremost, I'd recommend that you stay out on the 4 hour and the daily, and just go through, just pick a random chart, scroll through it randomly, look at the daily, and look how levels are respected. And if it helps, pull up a fib, and fibs also help too. Just mainly looking for liquidity, and or stops, and where does the market come from, and where is it, most likely to go next. Took this daily breaker trade, and it didn't even reach this order block here, which is disappointing. But for right now, COT has shown that they are buying, but that does not mean that it's just gonna stop on a dime and reverse. And I wasn't willing to take this trade because I thought that this wick was just too big, and that this move here was just rather insignificant. It didn't take out stops, but yeah, it stopped right on a dime at this prior breaker here. But I didn't see all the dots aligning like I had liked. It can be argued that there's some relatively clean lows here that can be swept, liquidity beneath those. It's just very iffy, you know. Any comment on the yen? I'm assuming you're talking about dollar yen. Let's take a look at that. And someone had asked, they weren't sure why I took the entry that I did. The entry that I did was on the premise of the weak dollar, like I had shown a little bit ago, and that we had not yet taken out this low here or this low back here. So we knew that there were stops sitting beneath those. And admittedly, I still kind of kick myself in the butt for taking a trade off at 105.20, knowing knowing there's a pocket of liquidity and stop sitting there for sure. But I took profit, and I just said, well, whatever. Took out liquidity. The rest is just a bonus. Whatever. So that's that on the weekly chart. I still would love to be a seller of the yen overall. I gotta give up in 5 hours. Yeah, you're welcome, Dave. Good luck with trading. So far, it's just I haven't really gotten anything that I want to take advantage of. You guys see anything out there that you're looking at? Let's do an Asian trade next time. Yeah, for sure. I love Asian session trading. As much as people knock it, I love it. How do I know when to take profit? Um, someone I had read recently that the most difficult part of trading is not the entry, but rather the exit, and I couldn't agree more. So a lot of people like to do like extensions. So if you're a swing trader, you could be like, yeah, take profit at the 127 and the 162. Even if you're rather conservative, you could do 100, 127, and 162. For me, I like to keep it very simple and um, prior lows that haven't been swept where I know liquidity is. Uh, if there's stops sitting underneath there, I'll cover there because I know that there's a good deal of odds that I might get tagged. To be honest though, about the yen, dollar yen rather, you know, I don't know. Like here, I guess it could trade up into this prior order block here, this breaker, and then drift lower. But to me, it just seems very weak. And to come in right now and just market sell, you're opening yourself up to a tremendous amount of risk. So try to limit risk and take the most uh, trades with the most probability rather. Why don't we experiment with breaker to breaker, see what new discoveries we can find? Might just hold it off for like a weekend thing or something. We'll cover it though, no worries. Something I'm interested in too. Am I usually flat before FOMC or NFP? That's actually a very good question because typically the first week of every month, if you notice, I believe it's the Wednesday of that week, is just filled with news releases, and then what is it, Friday or something? You got NFP, and the beginning of the week is just kind of slow and does nothing because people are anticipating the injection of volatility later. And for me, the first week of every month has always been a struggle for me, and it's usually filled with drawdown. So I was talking to my friend about this earlier too, and from now on, I think I'm just gonna take the first week of every month off. Maybe something you guys will notice too, or have noticed, in your own trading. But for me, I know for a fact it's been filled with drawdown. First week suck. Yeah. See, Bishop knows what I'm talking about. I hope I'm not boring you guys out, but I figured it would be kind of cool if you guys saw a first-hand experience or whatever of what I do to enter my trades or what I look at or what have you live. And I'm sorry if it's kind of boring, but I guess that's trading by yourself. Let's look at the Kiwi. Another trade I like to pair or play. And let's take that off. Actually, we'll do that later. All right. Got a prior high here within the breaker. Um, I guess you could throw an extension on it and see what happens. 162 is relatively close to the body of the breaker. Um, so on a kind of like a macro view, with dollar weakness going to the 89.55 level, we could still see further upside in the QB. And I did I did get an order filled today. It was like uh, 70 big figure. I believe it filled like overnight. I was asleep. I was thinking, I was hoping earlier in the week too that I could get an entry off this block here, but as you can see, it came 11, so within 20 pips of hitting it. Didn't fill me. That's a next area of interest that I am looking at. It kind of tripped me up. This right here, ICT talks about this quite a bit, and let's mark that out and get rid of the fib, make this a lot more clear. See how far price went below. Yeah. I believe I missed this trade. I didn't think it would go that far into the order block. But look how much it respected 50% of that order block. Basically, the bodies, for the most part, stayed right on that line. And from there, I mean, it's been peace out since. Just to the tune of 470 pips. If you guys go into your Excel calculator and see how many pips you need using 2% risk to make 30% a month, that's why swing trading is just crazy profitable. Was there a 4-hour order block on that one as well? QE. For the 97, actually it went pretty damn deep into this block here. Yeah. So one could argue again that there's liquidity beneath these lows here. So that's another possibility. We got liquidity sitting below there, and an area of interest right there. So something that I would do is, if this area breaks here, the next area of interest that I'm looking at is in this box here, primarily below this little thing here. And there are some blocks here. So, yeah. Can I delve into how to find equilibrium in market structure? Are you talking like consolidations and then finding the 50% mark, and then the upper half are buyers and the lower half are sellers, and then marking out areas of liquidity? Or are you talking more of like, higher time frame equilibrium moves? Alright, so we see Euro Pound looking like it's going to take a stab at these lows here. I still don't have, I don't know, the willingness to market sell here. It could still rally from this point on and take out those stops, and it's just risk I'm not into taking. Alright. As we can see there, let's take that stuff off. And quite honestly, I don't like being zoomed in because once again it just opens me up to too much risk, you know? So we did respect this 15-minute block. It's an hourly. We swept these lows. And we know that there's lows that still haven't been swept. So the next area that I'm looking at, just get rid of all this stuff, is this block here, and of course all of this open area that's up above. To take out stops. Okay, it looks like the stream's back up. It seems like my internet intermittently goes down here. I'm sorry, guys. It's not me ending it on purpose or anything. You know, it's just iffy with the dollar right now. You know, does the dollar surge higher from here? Has it taken out enough liquidity where it can go higher, or is there still an interest to draw it higher to fill more shorts or to squeeze more people? You never know. Hi, do you mind sharing how I scaled in and managed my yen trade yesterday? Yeah, sure. So, um, the reason why I use multiple orders when I enter and exit a trade is, at least on my desktop here, my MacBook for some reason has the ability to take one lump trade and then break it up into several take profits, right? But my desktop here doesn't. So let's say I put on, or I intend to put on a 2% trade. Maybe I got a lower entry on the Judas swing, so I'll take those profits last or first. You know what I mean? So it it enables me to spread out my profit targets. Do I mind recording the session? I do not. Nope. I'll do that for you guys. So for those scenarios, do I use a VPS at the broker or something for trading? I do not. No. I just, granted, this is on a. Oh, let's go back to traders, and we see euro softness. We'll see. Also, break a structure, a retest, and a 30-minute filter. It might be, a setup for going low.